Here, 21 for 21 with knockouts. 24-year-old David Banks. His father was shot and killed before he was born. Greatly affected, obviously, his childhood. Coming off the Contender Season 3, and now the biggest step up he has ever taken.
One of the things, of course, that Banks is bargaining on, or banking on, pardon the pun, the stars have to line up just right when you get a big upset with one guy who's so much physically superior as Miranda is over Banks. And some of those things that are lining up, or that at least Banks hopes lines up, is that Miranda will be looking past Banks, and by looking past him, maybe only looking for a knockout, only with one shot, instead of using the jab to set it up.
Those 17 first-round knockouts, that big gaudy number you see from Miranda, keep in mind most of that came in Colombia and the Dominican Republic, a phase in his career where it was obviously just too much for overmatched opponents, and also a phase in his career where he was still being taken advantage of. We told you in detail all the hardships he went through, but he had a promoter and manager that he says basically gave him nothing. And then he found himself here with his current management and promotional team in South Florida, where his career has really taken off.
Again, if you want to score a knockout, usually there are other elements involved to set up that knockout. You have to get in position. Sometimes you have to trick your opponent. You have to set him up with a jab. Banks is hoping that Miranda doesn't bring those elements. That Miranda just thinks that tonight is going to be an easy night to score a knockout, and he's just going to look for one shot at a time. And Banks figures if that's the case, even though they're dangerous shots, I have a better shot of avoiding one shot at a time. Banks loves to counter with right hands, Joe. He'll slip to his right. He'll make you miss the jab sometimes. He looks to do that.
Well, remember the dose of right hands he gave Peter Manfredo last summer? There's that counter right hand that Teddy talked about.
Well, right now, Banks is not on the Autobahn. We were using the analogy of cars. He's not racing around the ring, but he's stepping around the ring. Just enough to keep Miranda turning a little bit and not set to punch. Just enough to keep Miranda a little off balance and diffuse some of that power a little bit. In other words, Banks at least has a plan.
So far, putting it to effect against Edison Miranda as we come to the end of round number 1. Welcome back to Friday Night Fights at the Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida. I'm Joe Tessitore alongside Teddy Atlas. It has been a good night of action. We saw Jean Pascal and Omar Pittman earlier. Visited with Vladimir Klitschko, enjoying Alan Green as our studio guest, and this is round 2 of our main event. Edison Miranda, the very popular and exciting contender, now is a super middleweight, taking on David Banks.
Again, knockouts usually don't just happen. You know, home runs don't just happen. You have to be patient. You have to get the right pitch. And you can't be looking for a home run. You just have to make sure that the technique is consistent. You're looking to make good contact with the ball. Well, the same thing here. For Miranda to get what people want him to get and expect him to get, which is the knockout, he must set it up and make sure that his technique travels with his talent. You're going to see Banks using his legs, stepping a little bit, Joe. And you're probably going to see it mostly to his right side, because the punch that him and his trainer, his new trainer, Buddy McGurk, the former world champion, the one that they fear the most is the one from the right side, the right hand of Miranda's. So that's why you're going to see Banks moving to his right, away from that punch.
As he's doing now, David Banks has been training with McGirt in Vero Beach past month now. Had back-to-back impressive upset wins over the previously undefeated prospect Elvin Ayala. And that was on Ayala's home turf. Here he is on Edison Miranda's home turf at the Hard Rock. Miranda, of course, lost that golden opportunity by being TKO'd by Kelly Pavlik last May. Miranda's second fight at 168 pounds. He says he can't make 160 any longer.
When you're the stronger man, as Miranda feels he is with Banks, usually that means you want to get closer to the weaker man, your opponent. Miranda's trying to do that, but when you get close, then you want to make sure you're not smothered, you're not over anxious, and you're able to do some work when you do get in that position. That is part of the responsibility for Miranda, not to just be the stronger guy, but to use that strength.
All the talk all week long has been the potential of looking ahead. Edison Miranda and Jean Pascal potentially meeting up down the road in a much anticipated super middleweight clash, and we are pleased to be joined now ringside by Jean Pascal, who we just saw moments ago. Teddy, I know you were talking about some of the fundamental improvements that you would like to see out of Jean.
Yeah, Jean, obviously you have talent.
Thank you.
You're undefeated, but obviously talent has to be matched with technique.
I know.
Has this been a little bit of a wake-up call for you to improve in that technique
That is a
little
slip.
bit, as far as keeping your hands up and making sure you don't give your opponents opportunities to cash in those situations?
You're right, Teddy. I have to go back in the gym and improve certain things like my defense and things like that. But I think I'm good. But I'm not a champion yet. I'm gonna be a champion one day. But I have to go back in the gym, work, and work. This is the key.
Yes, it's not just talent.
Exactly.
Jean Pascal with us ringside here. Round number number 3, Edison Miranda against David Banks. Edison Miranda potentially Pascal's next opponent. There's a big right hand. Holy cow! David Banks is halfway out of the ring. What a knockout!
8, 9, 10. It's over. Hey, go back to the corner.
Can you believe that? Not even 2 weeks into 2008, and you have the leading candidate for knockout of the year, Edison Miranda. Wow!
Banks has a habit of keeping his left hand down. Matter of fact, both fighters keep their left hands down. But the one who figured to pay a bigger price was Banks, facing the bigger punch of Miranda. Banks has a habit of keeping that left hand low and sometimes stepping straight back. Miranda has the ability to follow a man when he goes straight back and follow him with an explosive right hand. And that's what he did.
One of the most exciting power punchers in the sport just delivered what you cannot believe, but believe this. Take a look.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we still have 3 more rounds to follow. Still 3 more rounds to follow. Still 3 more rounds to follow.
Again, watch the low left hand of Banks. And by the time he gets it up to show the level to deliver it to Miranda, Miranda is able to beat him to the mark. Once again, by the time that left hand